is Teresita Blanco, Dios' sister, and today we're reading Saturnastra, Chicot. This is chapter 17, part 1. Ernan and Silvia. A month passed and fall came. I could not get over my obsession with Chicot's armor. He had obviously named it after people who were dear to him, and since I knew he would not answer my questions, I set out to discover these answers on my own. I started with Alviss. I went to see him when he was drunk, when he was drinking beneath a withered tree. Based on his face, I guess he was drunk enough to answer my question, but sober enough that his answers would be intelligible. Finding such a balance was key to my inquest. He's actually drunk enough to answer, but sober enough so that you can
understand what he's answering.
I sat down beside him and he said, smiling, "Good morning, Jozef." "Good evening," I said, correcting him. "I know why you're here, and I'm not interested in helping you," said Alviss, looking at me sternly. "But at least hear what I have to say before you jump to conclusions," I said. "Those armors are not for sale, and they aren't yours anyway, so why complain about it? Ernan can do with them what he wills," he said, frowning. "Ernan? Who is Ernan?" I said. "Ernan, where do you hear such a name? He is no one," he said, opening his eyes wide. "I just heard you refer to Chicot as Ernan," I said, taking a firm tone. I saw his eyes imperceptibly move to look at something a bit towards the left. Feeling a cold sweat, I turned around and I saw nothing. I breathed in a sigh of relief, but was astounded to see Alviss running away from me. During dinner time, I saw Chicot conversing with Alviss. Their conversation was dropped short when both of them saw me approaching. Alviss nodded and then he said, "I'm going to tell you about Ernan and Silvia, and after I tell you about them, you will let the matter rest." "Certainly," I said, nodding. I followed Alviss to the smithy. He locked the door behind me. I grimly noted that he was sober for a change. This did not bode well for me. Sitting down, he said, "I will tell you first about Ernan. He was my youngest son, and he was murdered by humans around the time Chicot came into the picture." "Don't you think," I started saying, and then I grew quiet. "I took in Chicot because he was a friend of my son, and he also looked a little bit like him back when he was wee small," said Alviss, using his hand to illustrate the height of his boy. "I see," I said, nodding, though in the back of my mind I felt I was not getting the complete picture. Now Silvia, she was the oldest sister of a good friend of Chicot. She was a whimsical, happy child who dreamed of flying. The humans, they took her honor. In her desperate rage, she drowned herself in the river," he said, finishing his story. When he was done, he went to his cabinet and he brought out a liquor bottle. When he started drinking again, I commented, "How tragic. It is no wonder you do not want to speak of them. Forgive me for opening up old wounds." "There's no need to apologize, Jozef," said Alviss, shaking his head sadly. He added, smiling, "If it makes you feel better, Chicot has already taken care of those responsible for their. I did not hear the last part. The man had fallen asleep in his seat. I scratched my shoulder and turned around. I saw in a dark corner the strange, amorphous black shape that I had seen in Aragon. Coming towards the wall, I was disappointed to see that it was just a black armor, whose shape had been distorted by poor illumination. As I started to leave, I noticed in the garden a girl I had not seen before, and there was something oddly familiar about the girl. She was wearing a flamboyant blue dress and a blue hat decorated with flowers. The way her eyes were following my movements sent shivers down my spine. The next day I asked my mother, "Was there a lady visiting?" "No, we weren't expecting any company, but then again, strange people do make unannounced appearances at strange hours of the night," she said, folding her arms. "But you still receive them, don't you?" I asked. "Unfortunately, yes. Such is my role as the housekeeper," she said, putting a few things in my room in working order. "Did you see a strange girl in a fancy blue dress?" I asked. "No, I certainly would have noticed a dainty little minx wearing a pretty blue dress," she said, smiling. "Mother's favorite color had always been blue." "Maybe it was one of the designer girls wearing a blue dress," I said more to myself. I dismissed the strange blue dress girl from my thoughts, and a week passed and things were uneventful. While reading in the garden, I was half scared to death when I looked up and I saw that strange girl. From up close, her familiarity was striking. I was certain I had seen her before, but for the life of me I could not remember. Smiling awkwardly, I said, "How do you do?" The girl simply stared back at me. Again I tried. I am Jozef, and you are? The girl made an odd whimpering sound that made me get up and take a few steps back. She grasped at her throat and kept whimpering. Sitting back down, I said, I'm sorry, I did not realize you were mute. Forgive my rudeness. The girl stopped her whimpering and she sat down before me. I continued my reading while trying my best to stoically ignore her. I felt it was pointless to try to have a conversation with somebody who couldn't talk back. Time, bro?
8 minutes.
I must have been so absurd that I failed to see when she left. When walking back, Chicot asked me, I have been meaning to ask you something. Suddenly, what is it? I asked. I was in the gardens when I heard you talking to yourself. Is that going to be a new thing for you? Asked Chicot, sneering. I'm in no mood for your game, Chicot. You saw the girl, didn't you? I said angrily. Chicot did not bring up the matter further, though I resolved to ask everyone about the girl in blue, just to be certain. I started to doubt my own senses when everyone claimed not to have seen a mute girl dressed in a frilly blue dress. After the first encounter, I started seeing the girl in blue more often. She had a knack for appearing when I was completely alone. And when I was with others, I would see her from a distance staring at me, and these appearances were starting to make me believe that Chicot was right to suspect my sanity. One day, to make certain that she was real, I touched her shoulder. I felt heat from her clothed arm. She was a creature of flesh and bone, as far as I was concerned. The girl's eyes opened wide and her mouth too, and a strange sound escaped her lips as she silently tried to scream. And I was almost about to echo her silent yell with my own when Chicot put his arm on my elbow and forced me to turn around. Shaking his head sadly, he said, You need to get better soon, Jozef, before your mom notices and sends you to an asylum. Looking over my shoulder, I was disappointed to see that the girl was indeed gone, and again he said, You need to forget about the blonde in the blue dress. She is not real, she does not exist. The more you think about her, the more her presence will torment you. You're right, I said. Chicot went with me towards my bedroom and stayed with me until I fell asleep. And for adequate measure, he gave me a week of vacation. And during that week, I resolved to ignore the maiden. In no time, I stopped hallucinating the girl in the blue dress. I still remember the last time I saw her. She was standing by the end of my bed, and I had resolved to stare back at her to see the moment when she disappeared. And my grandfather's clock was behind her, so I was able to keep a pretty good track of her time. And after staring at her for 10 hours, she was still in the same place as before. Sleep eventually won over me, and when I awoke, I was relieved to see that she was no longer there. Still, even I felt it was abnormal to have such a vivid vision for such a prolonged period of time. And by the time New Year's came, I had forgotten all about the strange girl, and while rummaging my mother's junk drawer in search of her reading glasses, I found her old compact mirror, and turning it around, I was shocked to see the oval portrait of the girl in blue staring back at me. Alright, that's the end of that chapter. Bye bye and God bless. Alright.